91.3 WVKR, title track from Larry and Teresa's newest album, All This Time. And now let us get today's guest on the line. Mark, you with me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, wonderful, perfect. Well, thanks for being here. We are on the phone today with Mark McKenna, the artist manager at Bandshell Artists. And Mark, my goodness, I've only done a little homework because your career is so vast. And I'm so excited to talk to you. You have worked with so many artists. You have worked as a musician, a live sound mixer, a road manager, recording studio engineer and producer, studio builder, manager, and theater manager. Phew, that's exhausting.
Well, here I am now. I made it so far.
You did. And I have to say, what I did not know about you is that you're from West Hempstead.
That's correct.
So I spent a lot of time of my youth growing up there. I had an aunt and uncle on Oakland Avenue.
Okay, I don't remember Oakland Avenue, and I probably don't remember much about West Hempstead, but I did grow up there.
Right by the Carvel. There was a Carvel, a ShopRite, and a Speedway.
I know where the Carvel was.
Yep. We used to always arrive, and that was always my first thing to go down there. And you know who else is from West Hempstead? Is Phil, Yorma's road manager.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Phil and I have had a few conversations about that.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Yeah,
Phil's a great guy.
Yeah, he is a great guy. Really great guy. Because when I saw that, I'm like, West Hempstead. I'm like, this is too funny. So, just another little connection. Talk about music starting in your life, your love of music, also a musician. What did you play?
Well, I was a guitarist. Ironically, I actually started out, I don't know where the studio is physically now at Vassar, but I went to Vassar College, and I worked at WVKR. I helped install it.
Well, it has not changed. It's still on the third floor in the main building.
All right. Yeah, all right. So I remember there was a guy named Jeff Feldman who, at the time, he was the technician who really started it, and thank God he had the technical ability to do it. But he recruited a bunch of us to just go in there and solder wires and stumble our way through it, and then we all had little shows and stuff. It was a low power station then. I don't think it went beyond the confines of the campus, but
it's quite large now.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I haven't seen it in quite a while.
Well, WVKR, you can now, people driving up from the city hear us all over.
I see what you mean. I thought you meant physically, but
no.
I know the reach is really good. I
yes.
mean, I've always been able to pick it up on the thruway and it's a delight to listen to.
I love the fact that you know exactly where I'm sitting and in this wonderful studio. And we've collected since then, we're estimating that we are the owners of about 25,000 pieces of vinyl. So
I believe it. I mean, back in those days, we used to get the labels were, of course, they were very generous with sending, releases on vinyl. That was it. I mean, there wasn't anything else. I don't think they would bother with cassettes.
Right.
But, we got batches of records every week. And, of course, we loved it. We dove into that.
And it's still here. So when you came to Vassar, you studied, English Lit and history?
Yeah, I was an English major. I mean, I have to admit that Vassar and I academically did not really click. I went to a very rigid sort of Catholic boarding school in Rhode Island called Portsmouth Priory, and I was taught by Benedictine monks. And actually, I had an amazing music teacher, Father Ambrose, who was, just a sweet guy. His nickname, all the monks had nicknames, and his nickname was Bambi. So you get an idea of what his personality was like, Father Ambrose. Anyway, other than Father Ambrose, it was a pretty rigid, pretty strict place. So by the time I got to Vassar, I kind of went in the opposite direction.
I'm sure.
And, since nothing was compulsory, I didn't feel the need to attend a whole lot of classes. But I did play a ton of guitar and, with some of my classmates. And but probably the most important thing, other than meeting my future wife there, was I met John Hall and Wells Kelly and Larry Hopp, and I heard them play. I think it was in the spring of 1971, the first year I was there in the spring, and that it just completely blew my mind.
Wow.
I had never heard anybody with that kind of musical facility in my life, at least in the rock and roll world.
Right.
And I just fell in with them and became really good friends and worked for them.
Wow, wow, what a great thing. I've had John
Yeah.
Hall on the show here, and he's told me about his Vassar Little connection too. So it's funny
Yeah.
how college radio. So what kind of music were you playing, like in high school and college? I know you said you're a guitarist,
Oh,
but like what the rock?
yeah. Well, we're talking about in high school from 1967 to 1971.
Mm-hmm.
And then college, as far as I lasted, it was like 71 to 73.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of Grateful Dead stuff. And like Larry Campbell, I kind of gravitated towards the traditional and country end of the spectrum and, sort of the new approach to country, that kind of thing, the Flying Burrito Brothers, the Grateful Dead, the New Riders of the Purple Sage, and, the band
Yeah.
to a degree, that kind of thing, sort of really music that came out of the roots of the American traditional music.
Right.
And followed the Grateful Dead around, when I was in high school. It was
So that was
a major.
Pigpen? Was that with Pigpen days or Keith and Donna?
Yeah, I saw them initially when I probably was in the 8th grade. I was probably 13 or 14 years old, and something like that.
Nassau
And I saw them
Coliseum?
no, it was before then. It was before there was a Fillmore East. I think it was the Anderson Theater on
Wow.
2nd Avenue, and
Wow.
they only had one drummer then. It was the 5-piece band with Pigpen and Bill Kreutzmann. They didn't have Mickey Hart in the band yet, so that was sort of that was the trajectory that I was kind of interested in. And then when I heard Orleans, it completely sort of changed my interest in different kinds of music because they were so versatile and did so much, even as a 3-piece.
Right. Right.
I just had never heard anything like it.
So out of college, leaving college, what was your first path? What were you doing?
I went to work for them. I went to work for Orleans, with really no rationale other than I liked them. I liked being with them.
That's
And
perfect.
it was sort of like running away and joining the circus. And and my parents were not thrilled, but on the other hand, they didn't exactly punish me. They just let me do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to become a proficient musician. So I guess at the time I must have rationalized that by hanging around with John and Larry, I could learn a lot, by osmosis from them, and I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I went on the road. I learned how to do all this stuff that you need to do to go on the road. I learned how to mix sound, which I had no idea how to do that, but it was all seat of the pants.
Wow.
And worked with them, did a lot of tours with Orleans, and we did stuff with Jackson Browne and Little Feat and Valerie Carter and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Wow.
And I'm trying to remember, it's a little foggy because we're talking about, 50 some
years.
odd years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
that was kind of like how I got started and decided I was not going to go back to college and had a band, in Boston.
What was the name of that
I'd been
band?
playing. Oh, well, it was called Touch, Touch, Touch. And I made it with a friend of mine from Vassar, a guy named Mark Herbert, who's turned out to be the best man at my wedding. And Mark is a brilliant and in-demand luthier.
Wow.
Mark repairs, or he used to. I don't know if he does it anymore, but for a long time, maybe upwards of 10 or 15 years, he handled all of Pat Metheny's guitar lutherie work. Not that he would build the stuff, but he would rebuild it. He would repair it. He would, deal with the electronics. Pat has all these crazy guitars with, zillions of strings on them, and Mark would have to, rescue some of those guitars when they start to come apart, on the road. So anyway, that was my friendship with him, and that band didn't really last a long time, but it was still fun.
I bet.
It was fun while it lasted.
I always like hearing
And,
the names of the people with their early bands. It's some people don't remember or say they don't because they're too
Well, I
embarrassed.
do remember their names. I mean, there was Mark Herbert and myself and a guy named David Creighton, who now lives in Berkeley, California, and a guy named Terry McHugh, who was the drummer. And I've lost touch with Terry. I don't know where he is now. But, they were fun days. I mean, we were young and foolish and,
Having a
wanted
good
to
old
have
time.
as many adventures as we could, yeah.
And because Vassar's
So,
so close to Woodstock, did you
right.
make your way over that
Yeah,
way?
well, I did, yeah. So after I met up with the guys in Orleans and heard them, I started to come up to Woodstock to hear shows and got to know, took guitar lessons with Artie Traum,
Wow.
which was really fun. And Artie was, of course, he was as sweet a person as you could find and a great teacher. And yeah, I even got some of the professors at Vassar to let me get credit, for those lessons.
Awesome.
Some of the more open-minded ones.
You worked it well.
I did. I tried to get something out of it because the academic part of Vassar just was not working.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay. That was just my individual situation.
Right. So there you are in Woodstock now. Talk about how Bearsville comes into play with everything.
Well, after at a certain point, I kind of got. I felt like I really wanted to play music more than just be on the road with Orleans, and I left. I left those guys and had this band Touch in Boston, and then my future wife, Julie, who is now deceased, unfortunately. She became pregnant. We had a son named Flannery, and I just felt like, well, I gotta do something more substantial than playing rock and roll music on the road for an unknown band. So I got approached by one of the folks at Bearsville Studios, John Casto, and John offered me a job at Bearsville as an assistant engineer or an apprentice. I'd like not quite an assistant engineer, but somebody who could come in and learn the ropes. And, and I did. That was, I think, 79.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do what everybody does when they go into a situation like that. You have to apply yourself and, stay after hours and learn how to operate the tape machines and the consoles and which microphones are good for which thing and how to edit and all that stuff. And this is all analog. This is
Sure.
prior to the digital revolution.
Right.
Talking
right.
about 79,
Yeah.
that period. But I stuck with it and became an engineer at Bearsville and had some great times, worked with some great people.
Like who? Name some of the people.
Well, in terms of learning, I learned a lot from a guy who is no longer with us, John Holbrook, who is
Mm-hmm.
was a brilliant engineer and producer. He engineered for the Isley Brothers and Randy Van Warmer. He had a big hit with Randy Van Warmer called "Just When I Needed You Most," which was on Bearsville Records.
Wow.
And John also had an alter ego called Brian Briggs. And Brian Briggs made 2 records for Bearsville, which were fantastic. So I learned a lot from him. And then, visiting engineers would come in, like Bob Clearmountain. I learned a lot from Bob, kind of learned how to engineer and mix from Bob and Holbrook. And, of course, Clearmountain was one of probably the most famous, recording engineer producer in the world at that time. I mean, I can remember being in the studio with him.
And who did he work with?
Well, when I was assisting him, doing a little engineering for him, there was a band called the Michael Stanley Band, who were guys from Cleveland, kind of a blue collar band. But Clearmountain did Let's Dance with David Bowie. He did, Born in the USA. I mean, and Bryan Adams produced all those early Bryan Adams records. But when I was sitting in the control room with Bob, he would get phone call after phone call. The first one, Bob Dylan, wanting to know if he would work on his record.
Wow.
To hang the phone up. 5 minutes later, Mick Jagger.
Oh my goodness.
5 minutes later, Bryan Adams. So I mean, it was, it was like getting to go to school, with one of the greatest producer engineers of all time, and
Absolutely.
I soaked it up like a sponge.
Wow.
And then eventually got to, do my own sessions, and I worked with a bunch of people, Till Tuesday, the Isleys, of course. I mean, everybody at Bearsville wound up doing a record or 2 with the Isley Brothers. I did a record with Otis Redding's kids, Dexter and Otis Jr.
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
the Psychedelic Furs, The Pretenders,
Oh,
Simple Minds, Mick Ronson, Ian Hunter,
man. Don
Randy
Henley,
Van
too, right?
Warmer.
Or was that not at Bearsville?
Well, Henley was that I did work with Don, but that was not at Bearsville. That was in L.A. at
Mm-hmm.
A&M Studios. So when I was at Bearsville, that was a good couple of years, 5 or 6 years, and Albert Grossman, who obviously
Sure.
owned and ran and put together and founded the studios, he passed in January of '86, and there was a bit of tumult there, about what was going to happen, and we kept the studio going, but I decided that I really needed, if I was going to succeed at this, I just couldn't do it out of Woodstock. It was just too small,
Mm-hmm.
and the word was out that Jimmy Iovine and Shelley Ackes had taken over A&M Studios. Herb Alpert had hired them, and they were looking they wanted to make it a very kind of edgy place. They didn't want a laid back LA kind of vibe. They wanted a New York edgy vibe.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
I went to work for them, and that's where I worked with Henley.
Wow.
And I had enough engineering chops, at that time, to be able to do sessions on my own. And I worked with Don Henley. I did sessions with Sly Stone, of all people.
Wow.
Bob Seger, Bruce Springsteen, Tony Childs, U2. Worked with Paul Rothschild, who produced The Doors, and Janis Joplin, Tom Petty,
Wow.
Robbie Robertson.
Damn.
Herb
Wow.
Alpert too,
Yeah.
Everybody if you were a staff engineer at A&M, you got to work with Herb Alpert because it was just kind of an arrangement, that Herb made a record every year, and he would always use one of the house guys at
Right.
A&M instead of bringing in an independent engineer.
Wow.
So, I went out there initially on my own for a few months and to see if it was going to take, and it did. And so we moved out, in the winter, like January one year.
Moved down to New
I
York.
guess it would have been, I'm trying to remember. I guess 87
Mm-hmm.
when we moved out, and I started doing all these sessions,
Wow.
and kind of went out on my own as well. Did a bunch of other bands and artists, not at A&M, but elsewhere, and working in all these studios all over Hollywood and LA. And,
During this
that kind of
time,
thing.
were you still playing the guitar, or did you kind of put that aside?
I kind of had to put it on the shelf. I probably could have, but we had a family. I mean, we had 2 boys at this point,
Mm-hmm.
and the sessions, these sessions at A&M and other places, they were long.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd go in at 11 o'clock in the morning, and you wouldn't get out till 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, at Bearsville and elsewhere, I routinely worked 14 to 16 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
100 hours a week was not unheard of.
Wow. Wow.
So, there really wasn't any time,
Right.
Unless you were playing a guitar in the session, which I wasn't doing.
Right.
There was really no time to pursue that.
Right. Right.
But, fortunately I had my musical, I had a pretty good ear, and I could relate to what was going on musically. I could follow it, and I could kind of understand the language that needed to be understood, to do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that kept my interest. Just you're listening to music all day long. You can't not be interested.
Right. Right. You can't fake that in this kind of a career.
No.
No.
You really need, that's part of the toolkit that you really need. You need that more to be an engineer, obviously, or a producer, certainly, but an engineer even. You have to have a good ear. You have to be able to relate to what's going on musically. You have to understand, some harmony, playing about rhythm, and, how to relate to musicians, on that level, and also personally, emotionally, psychologically.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah. No, it's the whole package. But you have that whole package, Mark. It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
You ever think about writing
a act too,
Yeah. Well, you do.
You have to know how to act around these people. You can't have a big ego, and you can't be afraid.
Right.
You have to be confident but helpful.
Ever got starstruck by anybody?
I think the only person that I ever got starstruck by when I was at Allaire was Donald Fagen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I, but I managed to swallow that, to keep it down.
Mm-hmm.
But I, I have to say that might have been the only time I ever really got starstruck. I mean, and I worked with a lot of great people, including Bruce, but I had, when I worked with Orleans, I had met him, on the road. So I kind of knew him a little bit. And he's also, he's a kind of a regular guy. He's not like, he's somebody that, you can talk to easily.
Yeah, yeah, he seems like it from anything that I've learned about him. So pretty down to earth and
Hmm.
all of that. You ever consider
Yeah.
writing a book? You must have some great stories.
My wife is urging me to write all this stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I probably should.
Mm-hmm.
But it's, again, for whatever reason, mainly because I'm working all the time, it's hard to squeeze that extra energy out.
Yeah.
But I do from time to time jot a few things down, and I probably should do more of it before I forget it all.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah. I would imagine that your stories would be so great to hear about and to read about. And I hope that
Yeah,
your wife nudges you a little harder with the elbow and be like, "Come on, Mark. Come on, Mark." Um,
yeah,
road management, of course. I know you through Larry and Teresa,
right,
David Bromberg.
right.
Talk about, and by the way, thank you for introducing me to the music of Jenna Nichols. Amazing
Yeah.
artist.
Well, I think Jenna Nichols, on a practical level, I think Jenna has the possibility, or certainly has the likelihood and the potential of having a very successful career. Artistically, I don't think there's anybody like her. I mean, I haven't heard anybody like her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's one of the most unusual, original, and eclectic and capable, singers and musicians. And what she does comes completely out of thin air. I mean, she, she's just one of those people. I mean, she's tied into some wavelength
Mm-hmm.
that is really hard to figure out, exactly where it came from.
Yeah, yeah. You had emailed, I think, a few people and just be like, "Hey, check this out. She's at Graveside and this." And I
Right.
wasn't able to go, but I started looking up her music, and I was like blown away by her talent, and it just raw
Oh
and
yeah.
so natural.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Now she's, whatever wavelength she's on, I told her this, the first time I met her or heard her play, I said, whatever wavelength you're on, don't get off it,
Mm-hmm.
because she's got something really unique. And I think to me, that's the key to success, in promoting, performing, promoting, getting your music out there to people, is to be original and also to connect. And
Mm-hmm.
she really connects,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as do Larry and Teresa, and as does David Bromberg. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the key to having a successful career, one of them, as a performer, is you have to be able to get people to connect with you, and you have to connect with them. There's got to be a tangible connection. There's got to be a desire. You have to kind of convert people to your sort of own particular religion,
Mm-hmm.
in a sense,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that's what the great people do. I mean, you look at Springsteen, obviously, he gets people they just believe in him,
Right. Right.
they want they want his experience to be part of their lives, and it becomes a real, and Larry and Teresa, that's kind of why they do this. Larry has talked about, that we did that series, called It Was the Music.
Yes. Yeah.
And that series is really about the evolution, the growth of an artist's connection to an audience and vice versa. The understanding that you're in one room, you're in one space, and you're really one entity. There's a connection. There's no separation. You're playing the music, but what the musicians get back from the audience in terms of their response is every bit as valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like fuel for them to keep going. And I remember hearing Van Morrison say something about this. He never liked the idea of being up on a stage. He always felt like, I don't like the feeling of I'm up here and you're down there. It's supposed to be a handshake.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Larry and Teresa really aim for. I think that's certainly what David did, and what Jenna does. Jenna, she just opened for Larry and Teresa not too long ago in Saratoga, and she just had the audience in the palm of her hand.
Yeah.
They got it.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. I can't wait to
To
see
me,
her
that's
live. I mean, you know
oh
me
yeah,
with live music, right? There's just that
sure,
connection between musicians and the audience and just the others in the audience. And there's nothing quite like it for me. For me,
sure.
I met somebody I used to know in the grocery store yesterday. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I've been seeing such great live music. I can't stop." I said, "She's like, it's like an addiction." I said, "I completely understand." Um,
Yeah,
and that
yeah.
energy and I always just think we're all united, in this crazy world we live in right now. Music is the
Well, we
one
better
thing.
be.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We just
We
sit
better
there.
be because there's a lot of there's a whole lot that can divide us, and there's no reason for it. If you just don't adopt that mindset, you can connect with people and feel, extend humanity to people and feel theirs. I mean that empathy is really the key to the whole thing, and it's a big part of live music.
Yeah, it
When I was
really.
a kid, when I was like 13 years old, I used to take the what we called the bus and subway in from West Hempstead, and I would just go to all the clubs. I mean, I would go to four of them in one night. I'd
Wow.
go to the not the Blue Note, but the Village Vanguard, the Five Spot, the Cafe A Go Go. All these places, and there were legends, playing at all these joints.
Wow.
But I mean, it cost like $5 to get in to each one, and I went to like three or four from 7 at night until midnight, and then got on the bus and subway and went home.
Amazing. You were born at the right time, because you
I
really.
really was.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really was. It was a very fertile, the 60s, the, the 60s going into the 70s. That 20 years was, yeah. I mean, it was all about that. People stretching the limits of a certain kind of music and turning it into something original. Like the Stones did or the Beatles did, and Bob Dylan did. I mean, that was ground zero.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Now, such good stuff. Did you go see concerts in Central Park like Larry did?
I did. In fact, I've been to a lot of shows that Larry was at. We talked about it. Shows at the Fillmore, shows at Max's Kansas City. We were both at the same show. Obviously, I didn't get to know him until much later. But yeah, we have the same, I think, probably the same kind of taste.
Uh-huh.
And, we're able, when we do communicate about specific things in music, we do generally see eye to eye. I mean, we rarely disagree about much,
Right.
that.
Right, right. So you met Bromberg before you met Larry. How did you meet David Bromberg?
I was managing a couple of, I had worked at the studio when I left Bearsville. I kind of got, all right, so I took up the story here. Sorry to be so long-winded, but
No, love it,
after
love it.
I came back to the Woodstock area in '92 because my dad was failing, and I wanted to be with him, at the end, which I was able to do. And I was here, and Sally Grossman,
Mm-hmm.
rest in peace, Sally, hired me to run the Bearsville Theater. I'm trying to remember, how did I get to this thing? She hired me to run the Bearsville Theater, which I did to the best of my ability. It was kind of a challenge. And then after a little while, she said, this theater is just not viable economically. And so she asked Ian Kimmett, who was running the studio at the time, to take over Bearsville Publishing. And I went back up to the studio, and then we really blew the studio up at that point. We went from 2 rooms to 4 or 5 rooms. This is when we had, Fish and the Dave Matthews Band and Jeff Buckley and Nas and 50 Cent and
Did Meatloaf record
Cassandra
there
Wilson.
too?
Meatloaf was there, but that was before. That was early on. That was
Gotcha.
before I actually worked there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, we kind of we redid Studio B. Albert was involved in all this. We opened up Studio A, which John Holbrook kind of invented, and it became one of the most popular recording studios in the world. I mean, everybody was coming there. REM, the Dave Matthews Band, you name it. Jewel, Rush. Bon Jovi.
Man.
I mean, it was just one thing after another, and we were like doing things where we do a session, we have Bon Jovi in, and then somebody like Fish is coming in the next day, and we'd have to stay up all night, turn the studio around,
Wow.
between the hours of 1 a.m. and 11 a.m. and have these guys walk in the next day,
Wow.
to start another,
Yeah.
Natalie Merchant, 10,000 Maniacs. I mean, it just, the list went on and on and on. And, we had Albert backing us up, so we converted one after another. We turned Studio A into a big tracking room, Studio B into like one of the world's greatest mixed rooms.
Amazing.
The barn, we turned into a studio. We added a control room to the barn. We went into Utopia Video and turned that into a studio, turned the theater into a rehearsal space.
Wow.
So anyway, this was all going on. This went on for a number of years. And finally, I kind of sort of had a bit of a run-in with Sally. And I said, you know what, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And I left, and I was managing a couple of artists, not very well known. And David Bromberg's wife, Nancy Josephson, called me. And I guess Jay Unger had recommended me. So I wound up taking on, I was managing David's wife's band called Angel Band. And then David liked what he saw, and he said, I'd like you to manage me. So I did. And, David was on the road a lot. Everybody knew him. Everybody knows him.
Yep.
We started making records again. He made a comeback record in 2005, and I started working with him in 2007. And we just started making a bunch of band records again, with him. And pretty interesting records. One was called Use Me, which he had all these different artists write a tune for him and then record with them, like John Hyatt and Kev Moe and Linda Ronstadt and
Wow.
Widespread Panic and Levon, of course. And that's where I met Larry because, Larry was producing those sessions at the
Really?
barn.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did 2 tracks. Larry produced 2 tracks. One of them was a song that David had written, and another one was kind of an old blues folk tune called Bring It With You When You Come. And, that was really, those were great times. I mean, and I knew Levon before that. I mean, Levon actually, before he did any of the rambles at his barn, he came up to Allaire Studios where I was working, and he took a look around. He said, Mark, we need to do these things up here. And I was like, Levon, we have Tim McGraw coming in 3 weeks. If I start doing these rambles here, I will have a mutiny.
Yeah.
And the entire staff will walk out. So, we didn't do it, and he started doing them at the barn.
At the barn where they are
But,
now. Whatever happened to LAR? Is that still up and running?
I think it's still to a degree. I mean, it is open for business. I have not been there since I left, and that was in 2007. So I can't really tell you what is going on up there, but
Right.
it does still operate as a studio.
Yeah. I know Bowie was up there too.
Well, I was there when Bowie was there.
Nice.
He did Heathen and part of another record there. And Nora Jones did her first 2 records largely at Allaire, and Rush did a record up there. Jason Mraz.
People love the Hudson Valley to record, don't they?
It's one of the few places where you can do this kind of thing, where there's actually some real estate, and people can afford to go and have these studios. Mm-hmm. And what's the word? It's appropriate, it's conducive to this kind of thing because, Woodstock was always the place where musicians could get away, and be creative. It started with, with Peter Yarrow and Bob Dylan and Paul Butterfield and those kind of people.
Yeah. No.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah. No, he spent some time here too in Woodstock. Yeah, no, great. Man. And then now, of course, I always see you do, and the inside of Larry and Teresa's new album all this time, they end off with their special thanks, and they say, and to Mark McKenna for his invaluable advice, patience, and relentless dedication. And I think that must sum it up perfectly because I've never seen anyone as dedicated, as professional when I see them in a concert, and you are they're getting it all together for them. I know they adore you and love you. And
Well, it goes both ways. I mean, they're very unusual people. I mean, as you know,
mhm,
there's really nobody quite like Larry and Teresa. Their humanity is just bursting out of them, and they're incredible musicians. And David Bromberg had a great quote about Larry, which is he said, Larry is like an iceberg. He said, not that he's cold in any way, but you just never know how much is going on under the surface or how much is there
mhm,
until you need it.
mhm,
And then all of a sudden, he pulls something out that nobody would have ever thought of.
mhm.
But that's just the kind of that's the kind of facility that he has. He's just a very deep musician, and so is Teresa.
Oh, yeah.
Teresa's a really underrated guitar player and has a great feel, and she's as authentic as the day is long. And
Absolutely.
when she gets up there and sings, I mean, it's pure 100% emotion. I
Mhm,
mean, there's
mhm.
no artifice. It's not an act. She when she sings the song, she inhabits the song. She presents the melody exactly the way it's supposed to be, but emotionally she presents the words as she feels them.
Right,
So
right,
it's a pretty
right.
great combination.
And yeah, you guys must have such a great time on the road. I know it's hard work, and everybody romanticizes everything, and I know it's hard. But to have such kindness amongst you guys, it just probably goes a really long way. I'll just, as you know, Larry and Teresa were my first guests here on my show,
Right, right.
and I was
That's right.
working at another station, and I had this idea for doing this show, and Larry said to me, he always said, Rita, when you get the show, let me know. I'll be your first guest. And he wasn't blowing
Right,
smoke
right,
either. He was.
right.
I said, Larry, I emailed him. I said, I actually got this show. Okay, and guess what? He held true. And I still hold their host use their music, "Surrender to Love," as my
Right.
opening music.
Sure.
So yeah,
Yeah.
just
We appreciate that, Rita.
uh,
It's really great to have your support, your constant support, and it's important to have a voice in radio, that is individual and can choose what they want to play and has musical opinions and exercises them. I mean, that's really it's
it's
vital.
so much fun. It's so much fun. I just do this for the love of music and the love. My greatest thing is if I do ticket giveaways or something and somebody calls me back after they've seen the show, maybe they've never been to that venue
Right.
or had never seen that artist before and all of a sudden become huge fans. That's what it's
Right.
all about, Mark, spreading the love, and
Yeah.
and it's 100% what it is. Now let's talk about Larry and Teresa's big festival because I have
Right.
been playing artist tracks for probably about 6 weeks now for July Jam. Tell us what's
Well,
going
that's
on
great.
July 20th.
Well, we're getting close. I mean, we have about a week and a half to go, and it's coming together. I mean, we're in the sort of the final stages of prepping all that right now. I mean, basically, there are four main entities, I guess, or bands that are playing. Connor Kennedy and One Star are going to start, and then the Secret Sisters
Wonderful.
and Jackie Green, and then I got it wrong? Maybe five? Maybe it's five. So let me start over. Connor Kennedy and One Star, and Secret Sisters, Jackie Green, and then Hot Tuna acoustic,
Hmm.
and then Larry and Teresa. And Larry and Teresa are going to they're going to do like a bunch of tunes of theirs, and then they're going to have everybody up. They're going
Love
to
it.
have Cindy Cashdollar up. They're going to have Jim Weeder up. They're going to have Brian Mitchell up. And if the Secret Sisters and Jackie Green and Tuna can hang, and Connor and his band, there isn't going to be enough room on stage probably for all the people. But that's what Larry wants, and really the idea for this festival was, I felt like it was high time for Larry and Teresa to have their own sort of celebration
Hmm.
and really show what they can do in a kind of a community or collective type setting, because when they've done these things on the Cayamo cruise, where Larry will get three or four musicians on stage, who are all playing there, and it's so much fun because it's totally spontaneous, and that's what we want to do with July Jam. We just want to make it like have everybody make their statement, on their own musically, and then collaborate.
And then come
And
together. Yeah.
yeah, Larry played a lot on the Secret Sisters new record, which is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously with Jackie Green, they played with Jackie a lot with Phil Lesh and Friends a number of years ago. So they're going to rekindle that relationship. And with Connor, they've obviously played with Connor, and Connor's bass player Brandon Morrison plays with Larry and Teresa,
Yes.
and Lee Falco will be there. They want Lee to sit in at the end, and then of course Brian, Cindy, and Jim, and not to mention all the threads that connect them with Jack and Yorma, who they've played with many times. So it's going to be a real I hate to use the word smorgasbord, but I mean that's kind of what it's going to be like. There's going to be a lot.
I can't wait.
Sample.
I can't wait. And now let's tell listeners that this July Jam that we're talking about is a week and a half. It's on Saturday, July 20th. Tell us where and how do people get tickets?
Well, it's going to be at Arrowwood Farms in Accord, New York. And Arrowwood is a really nice location. It's not too big. It's not one of these vast festival sites. I think that it's limited to about 1,000 people, but I think we'll probably be a little under that. So it's going to be comfortable. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of food trucks, some really nice food. There's going to be a lot of different types of beer and types of wine and drinks and soft drinks. And there is a VIP area if you want to get a VIP ticket, which is more expensive, but there's certain amenities that are really nice there. And what can I say?
Can people bring coolers?
Great.
Can people bring coolers?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't. I wouldn't want to step over the line and tell people what they can bring.
Right.
The website. You can either go to Impact Concerts. Drew Frankel is running Impact Concerts, and he's the promoter. He and Peter Himberger. But Impact Concerts or Arrowwood Farms both have links to tickets. And for that matter, LarryandTeresa.com, you can go there. If you go to the tour page, you can find the link also. There's plenty of ways to get there.
Right.
And there are still tickets left. Come in. Sorry, somebody's knocking on my office door.
That's okay, no problem.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. This is live radio, folks. This is what we're doing.
My office is on 29th Street, New York. Anyway, that's kind of the story on July Jam. It's we're hoping to make it a yearly thing, and if we're able to do that, we'll probably have a different lineup every year, and there'll be some surprises every year.
So much fun! Oh my gosh, so much fun! Yeah. And I'm so glad that they're finally doing this, and that you finally cajoled them into saying, let's do our own festival. Good for you. Good for you. Yeah.
No, I think it's high time. They have they should have the profile for it, and they deserve it.
Yep.
It's going to be fun for everybody, including the musicians, and I'm hoping that everybody really can participate, to the fullest.
Yeah, and have a good time. So it's coming right up, July 20th, the July Jam, LarryandTeresa.com, ArrowwoodFarms.com.
We'll just pray for some nice weather.
Yes.
Not too hot and not rainy.
Yes. Otherwise, you know what? That's why umbrellas were invented. So.
But if people go to like the Arrowwood Farm site, I'm pretty sure they can either email questions about coolers or just call the place directly, and they'll tell you what's allowed and what isn't allowed.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh, Mark, it's going to be so much fun. And I'm going to play some music that you sent me. Jenna Nichols is who I'm going to start off with. We've got Don Henley, Cock Robin, Orleans, and it's been a real pleasure, and I've honestly been looking forward to this conversation with you because
thanks, Rita. Me too. It's really kind of you to think of me, and normally I'm really a backroom guy.
Yeah.
I don't really go out and talk about myself, but you asked, so that's.
I did. I know you looked at me kind of cross-eyed when I asked you at the Falcon, and I'm just like, no, I'm serious. Let's do this because your career, look at, we talked for almost an hour, 45 minutes, and there's so much more to even go. But I just thank you for your time and thank you for what you're doing. And when I posted you're going to be my guest, I think Barbara O'Brien said something like, he's great at his job, but more importantly, he's just a really nice guy. So thanks for spreading the niceness, the kindness out there. And we need more people like you, Mark. And your
Yeah,
genuine
thanks,
love
Rita.
of music it shines through. And just thanks for what you do. And I look forward to seeing you. And
Yeah,
yeah.
me too.
All right. We'll be in touch. And I'm
Okay.
going to spin some music. And I wish you a good rest of the day. And thank you again for your time today, Mark.
Thanks a bunch,
All
Rita.
right. Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.
91.3 WVKR. That was Mark McKenna. He is a artist manager. Larry and Teresa. He has worked with David Bromberg, as you heard. He ran studios, worked at a record label, and just has had an amazing musical career. One of the artists we also just talked about is Jenna Nichols. I want to play a track of hers here right now on 91.3 WVKR.
Going forth and back again, up and down the Hudson line. My head's against the window as I watch the towns roll by. I'm hollowed out, rusted through, a worn out tune that's been overplayed. Still I'm happy as I've ever been when you meet me at the train. Oh, back when we were young, our cigarettes and poetry. In an empty late-night corner bar, we sang songs that echoed to the street. Years go by, we all move on. Are we happy with whom we've become? I don't know. I forget about it all when you meet me at the train. Now it's just me and you, a little town for two. I'm still hanging on to the city to see us through. Some days it's harder to believe. Some days we can barely breathe. Sometimes I look into your eyes, I see only love for miles and miles. Of all the places that I've known, you're the only one that feels like home. I remember how I love you so. When you meet me at the train.
details since Daddy had to fly. Oh, but I know a place where we can go, still untouched by men. So watch the clouds roll by, the tall grass waves in the wind. You can lay your head back on the ground, let your hair fall all around you. Offer up your best defense. This is the end. This is the end of the innocence. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies. Now those skies are threatening. They're beating plowshares into swords for this tired old man that we elected king. Armchair warriors often fail, and we've been poisoned by these fairy tales. The lawyers clean up all details since Daddy had to lie. Oh, but I know a place where we can go and wash away this sin. Sit and watch the clouds roll by, the tall grass waves in the wind. Just lay your head back on the ground, let your hair spill all around me. Offer up your best defense. This is the end. This is the end of the innocence. Who knows how long this will last? Now we've come so far, so fast. But somewhere back there in the dust, that same small town in each of us. I need to remember this. So baby, give me just one kiss. Let me take a long last look before we say goodbye. Just lay your head back on the ground, let your hair fall all around me. Offer up your best defense. This is the end. This is the end of the innocence.
.3 WVKR, Independent Radio, Poughkeepsie, New York. You've all heard that one before. Don Henley, The End of the Innocence, title track from that album. And we also heard Jenna Nichols with the track called The Commuter. You may be wondering why Don Henley on a show featuring music of the Hudson Valley. Well, if you were lucky enough to listen to Mark McKenna during the last hour, he worked on that record. So that's one of the tracks he sent me to play. So huge thank you to today's guest, Mark McKenna of Bandshell Artists. He's an artist manager, among many other hats that he has worn throughout his amazing musical career. If you missed that interview or part of it or want to listen to it again, it will be uploaded tonight on the YouTube channel under LocalMotion on 91.3 WVKR. Please consider subscribing and giving a like and a follow to the Facebook page by the same name. It is 5:01 p.m. You are tuned into 91.3 WVKR. We are broadcasting live from the beautiful campus here at Vassar College. We're melting, but not in the studio, thank goodness. But I hope everybody's staying safe out there with this insane heat wave that just does not seem to be going away. So check on your neighbors, drink lots of fluids, and really take care of yourselves and your pets. It's important with all this weather that's really amazingly hot and no end in sight, but hopefully it'll cool down soon because enough is enough. Anyway, this is the part of summer that I just don't like, but it is what it is, and just lucky to be here any day that we're alive, right? So the art of gratitude goes a long way. And I am your host, Rita Ryan, here each and every Wednesday, just about, with LocalMotion, and this show is all about music of the Hudson Valley. We start off every hour where we don't have a guest by paying tribute to the late Tony Falco from the Falcon in Marlborough. He passed away October 27th of 2021 and left many things, one of them being a couple of really cool playlists. So I take a track from that playlist in the order that he uploaded it, and I play it. So let's start off right here, right now, doing just that. Here's a track by Solomon Burke on 91.3.
Call me. I said if you need me, all you gotta do is call me. Don't wait too long. If things go wrong, I'll hurry home. If you want me, send for me. I said if you want me, all you gotta do is send for me. Don't wait too long. Just to pick up your phone and I'll be home where I belong. People have always said, darling, that I didn't mean you no good, and you would leave me someday. But way deep down in my heart, I know I've done the best I could. And that's why I know that one of these days, it won't be long, you'll come walking through that same door. And I can imagine in my mind that these are the words that you'll be saying. I still love you, always thinking of you. And I still love you, always thinking of you. Don't wait too long, just to pick up your phone and I'll carry on right there where I belong.
yeah, brand spanking new. It's called Supersonic off the brand new release called Rhythm Edge by Eric Person, who is an incredible soprano, alto, and tenor saxophonist, also flautist. He is bringing a CD release party, album release party this Sunday to the Falcon in Marlborough. You can make reservations by calling live at the or going online to liveatthefalcon.com or giving them a call. You never need a ticket to go to the Falcon. It's all done by donation there. They do it a little differently. So again, Eric Person's album release party for Rhythm Edge, his new release, is happening this Sunday night at the Falcon. Live at thefalcon.com to make reservations. Check out their great lineup there. We got to start it with a track from Solomon Burke, the legendary Solomon Burke, If You Need Me. Originally written in 1963 by Wilson Pickett, but Solomon Burke sent this song to number 2 on the R&B charts that same year. And Solomon Burke. This was a track on Tony Falco's playlist, which he left us. And he started the Falcon where it is now back in 2009. And before that, it was a house concert. He had a house concert in his backyard. And it grew into this amazing thing that we now know as the Falcon, one of the many gifts that Tony shared with us. And Lee Falco is running it and operating it, and he's got a great staff there, and we're keeping the music going for Tony and supporting living artists, which is what their motto at the Falcon is. All right, so it's 5:11. We are going to keep the music flowing here. Mr. Jay Collins has a couple of shows coming up. We'll tell you about them, but first let's take a listen to some music here by Jay on 91.3 WVKR.
1, 2, 3. Gonna hike along the trail a mile. We're gonna watch that waterfall a while. We're gonna row a boat out to the cove. We're gonna warm up by the old wood stove. When we finally get to stay at Mary Ann. When we finally get to stay at Mary Ann's. We'll finally get some needed rest. Gonna function at our very best. Gonna feel the grass between our toes. Not watch it grow from car windows. No, no. When we finally get to stay at Mary Ann's. When we finally get to stay at Mary Ann's. Now the ocean meets the river, river meets the creek. Going to the country, feel it on our feet. Gonna leave them in the city, turning round and round. Lord knows one day these buildings could all come tumbling down, down. Gonna find the finest fish in the pool. We're gonna climb the mountain in our soul. Gonna put on a pair of old blue jeans, yeah, with warmth and gladness in the seams. When we finally get to stay at Mary Ann's. When we finally get to stay at Mary Ann's. Know it's gonna be grand. ocean meets the river, river meets the creek. We're going to the country to feel it on our feet. Gonna leave it all in the city, turning round and round. Lord knows one day these buildings could all come tumbling down, down. Gonna find the finest fishing hole. We're gonna climb the mountain in our soul. We're gonna feel the grass between our toes, and not just watch it grow from a car window. No, no. And we finally get to stay at Mary Ann's. When we finally get to stay at Mary Ann's.
Hold on, speed racer, go slowly now. You're spinning to the finish with the pedal down. Live or die, either way. The world keeps turning round. Tremble like a flower about to wake. We keep pushing up against this until we break. Win or lose, either way, I keep coming back for more. Watch as I rise up, right out of the firestorm. Watch as I rise up, right out of your firestorm. Right out of your fire.
91.3, Sarah Power, formerly known as Sarah Parada. The album called Blue to Gold. We just heard Firestorm, and it's just a magnificent 8-track CD produced by the legendary Jerry Marotta, who's played with, oh gosh, Paul McCartney, Peter Gabriel, and a host of other great musicians, also from the Dreamland recording studio and Woodstock scene. So, yeah. So, Sarah Power will be playing tomorrow. She's performing at City Winery in the Hudson Valley, which is located in Montgomery, New York, right outside of Newburgh. So if you find yourself in that area, City Winery tomorrow in the Hudson Valley, you can check out Ms. Sarah Power, lovely, talented woman, as you can hear. We also heard music by Jay Collins, the album called Rivers, Blues, and Other People, the track titled Mary Ann's. I love this CD. It came out quite some time ago, like 12 years ago, but I love it. And he has had new music since. It's equally as good. I just always gravitate to that CD for some reason. So Jay Collins is part of the Midnight Ramble Band. He played with Greg Allman for a very long time, Little Feat, a whole bunch of other great people. He's a great singer, songwriter, and saxophonist. And he also has his own bands. And he's going to be playing this Sunday, if you're in the Woodstock area. He'll be at Pearl Moon in Woodstock with his band called Gravy Train this Sunday for brunch from 11 to 2 p.m. Jay Collins. Jay will also be part of Barnstock in Woodstock on July 25th, which is kind of a house concert, very intimate place and very cool place. barnstockny.com for Jay Collins on July 25th. And again, this Sunday, July 14th from 11 to 2, he'll be playing brunch with his band called Gravy Train at Pearl Moon in Woodstock. Keep the music flowing right now. Another cool event happening at Colony in the Beer Garden this Saturday is a Woody Guthrie tribute, and it's being produced by the one and only Eric Squindo. So let's play a track of his music right here, right now on 91.3.
Clothes on the line won't dry, it's raining. Don't complain, you could use a little time. Think how fresh and clean your finest threads will be when you go out tomorrow night. Down to the banks, a weighted water, a dirty joint where the banjo pickers play. They get you loaded on sugar-coated love. Dancing shoes carry you away. And tears can be washed out of pillows. Sunlight fades away the stain, and you won't need your heavy coat anymore. Stars will shine, fire may flicker. Stoke the coals, let the dry wood all run out. Put your fuzzy slippers on, sing an old-time Carter song. Wind is gonna blow your blues away. And tears can be washed out of pillows. Sunlight fades away the stain, and you won't need your heavy coat anymore. And tears can be washed out of pillows. Sunlight fades away the stain, and you won't need your heavy coat anymore. You won't need your heavy coat anymore.
Well, I'm rolling down the highway in a beat-up rusty Dodge van, and you know how hard I work at just looking at my callous hands. Well, the sun is on its way down, and my girls know I'm going out, making plans with the fellas, gonna tie one on real bad. Well, I'd like to think I know just what this all is about, but my days are getting far foggy and my thoughts are always filled with doubt. But I ain't gonna shed no tear. Just hand me an ice cold beer. I got plans with the fellas, gonna tie one on real bad. Well, the girls are getting frisky, try to get me on the dance floor. And I never saw a honky-tonk rock like this before. Well, I got me a real fine buzz, but I got no cause to fuss. I got plans with the fellas, gonna tie one on real bad. Yeah! Well, the barmaid tells me she's going for a PhD. Temptation isn't knocking as she keeps talking to me. She says you got a wife and kids. Well, how about a little of this? I got plans with the fella, gonna tie one on real bad. Well, I'm out in the parking lot looking for my rusty Dodge van. And I know what you're thinking, am I really that kind of man? Well, the sun is on its way up, and my phone's ringing off the hook. I got plans with the fellas, gonna tie one on real bad. I got plans with the fellas, I'm gonna tie one on real bad. I had plans with the fellas, and I tied one on real bad.
91.3 WVKR. Vito Petrosito Jr. and Vito Veritas is the name of the release, and we heard the track Gonna Tie One On. Vito has been in the Hudson Valley, I think most of his life, all of his life really. He's from Hyde Park and plays all over the place, teaches guitar, and is an all-around wonderful guy. He is playing Sunday in Beacon at the legendary Town Crier, right on the Salon stage. You can get info about that show and the stellar lineup at Town Crier by going to their website, towncrier.com. Again, Vito Petrosito playing at the Salon stage on Sunday evening at Town Crier. Always a great show to see and very captivating with the audience if you get to go check out Vito Petrosito. We also heard Eric Squindo back on the scene. He is his track is called Heavy Coat, and it's a 5-track EP. That Eric put out a couple of years back. He's producing what's called Woody Stock. That's happening this Saturday, July 13, from 6 to 9 p.m. at the Beer Garden in Woodstock at Colony. It's the Woody Guthrie tribute. It's a benefit, and it's going to feature Mark Delgado, Margie Zintz, Eric Squindo, and special guests. Again, that's at the Beer Garden. It goes by suggested donation at the Beer Garden this Saturday from 6 to 9 p.m. Woody Stock. And let's see, we've got these guys playing also this weekend at Opus 40 in Saugerties. Let's take a listen to Sundub here on 91.3.
Walking on air, float just a little bit off the ground. Near. My head's in the clouds, but my mind is so clear. The way you move makes it so all my doubts disappear. When you're here, don't make me stop. Oh, I'll keep loving you till the very last beat of my heart. Oh, keep on giving you more and more, 'cause I don't see us falling apart. Rude. I know what I want, and baby, it's only you. connection, body, spirit, soul, and mind. And the path of your journey starts to align with a beautiful being. Just know that it's a sign. Take your time, don't make me stop. Oh, I'll keep loving you till the very last beat of my heart. Oh, keep on giving you more and more, 'cause I don't see us falling apart if we just keep playing it smart. Let them disapprove, don't care if they're rude. I know what I want, and baby, it's only you. You stay in my arms, we'll weather the storm. Another day will dawn, and our story will live on. Oh, I'll wear it on my sleeve, and I'll give you what you need. Anything you want, asking you shall receive. Let them disapprove, don't care if they're rude. I know what I want, baby, it's only you. You stay in my arms, we'll weather the storm. Another day will dawn, and our story will live on. Let them disapprove, don't care if they're rude. I know what I want, baby, it's only you. You stay in my arms, we'll weather the storm. Another day will dawn, and our story will live on.
You said that you loved me, you'd never ever hurt me. How quickly you desert me. You're pushing me away, breaking my heart, and no one wants to feel the way that I do. No one wants to walk through these doors we're walking through. It's killing me today, killing me today. If only I could run away. I can see your halo, but baby, I can't let go. You're pushing me away, pushing me away. You're breaking my heart, babe. I can see your halo, but baby, I can't let go. You're pushing me away, pushing me away. You're breaking my heart, babe. You said you'd come to cuddle me, wake me up with coffee, and tell me sweet stories. Then you said you'd look me in the eye, look me in the eye. Say that we would never die. No one wants to feel the way that I do. No one wants to walk through these doors we're walking through. It's killing me today, killing me today. 'Cause I can see your halo, but baby, I can't let go. But you're pushing me away, pushing me away.
I can see your halo. Baby, I can't let go. You're pushing me away, pushing me away. You're breaking my heart, babe. I can see your halo. Baby, I can't let go. You're pushing me away, pushing me away. And I know that I got to.
91.3 WVKR. If you're a regular listener to this program, you have heard that song before. That's by the lovely and talented Ms. Seraphim. The track is called Halo. It's accompanied by a beautiful video on YouTube. You can check it out, Seraphim and Halo. She's just, that to me is just an absolutely extraordinary song. One of my favorite, and she puts out several albums, it seems like, every year. But that I just find that song to be extraordinary. Ms. Seraphim, you can find her on Bandcamp, on her own website, and she's also an extraordinary visual artist as well. Seraphim, she's from the Woodstock area, and if you get a chance to go see her live, it's a really beautiful experience. I just saw her a couple of weeks ago at Maverick Concerts when they had their open house, and it was pretty cool, really cool. We also heard the band Sundub. Their new album is called Spirits Eat Music, and we heard the track called The Storm. Here's what Glide magazine says about the album Spirits Eat Music. Quote, in a world that is frequently heavy and dark, Spirits Eat Music is a ray of musical sunshine. It is a remedy that requires neither a consultation with a physician nor a prescription. If you're looking for a musical mood boost, this album will get you off to a good start. Unquote, by Glide magazine. Sundub will be performing this Saturday at Opus 40 in Socrates. Beautiful place to go see a show, opus40.org. It's called Reggae on the Rock with Sundub and Upstate Reggae Posse, happening this Saturday, July 13th, opus40.org. Bring your lawn chairs, have some fun, and it's an extraordinary place to see a show. I was just there this past weekend. I saw Sun Ra Orchestra on Saturday night at Opus 40, and just a great show, beautiful vibe there, and it's just lovely. So Sundub will be there this Saturday doing some reggae, July 13th, opus40.org. It's 5:38. You are tuned into Local Motion. I am your host, Rita Ryan, here most each and every Wednesday from 4 to 6 p.m. We're going to play two more tracks, and then we'll do musical happenings. The next two performers I'm spinning here on the show will be part of July Jam, which is happening July 20th at Arrowwood Farms in Accord, and that's what we talked about during the 4 p.m. hour with today's guest, Mark McKenna. Let's start this little mini set off with one of the performers there is going to be Jackie Green. Let's take a listen to a track of his right now, 91.3.
Don't think that the life that we're living is easy. We travel around, our feet don't touch the ground. I like to believe after all this I'd end up a millionaire, but that's not where it's at. Anyway, it don't work like that. Where's my silver lining? I've been trying to see, but every day comes shining. Hey, shine your light way down on me. man. Yes, I understand. It's just that sometimes it's so fast I can't even catch up to myself. Goodbye, Bowling Green. Hello, Abilene. Where's my silver lining? I've been trying to see. But every day comes shining. Here, shine your light way down on me. Oh, yeah, yeah. Shine your light. Oh, that's right. Shine your light. Outside my window, the rooster is crowing. Oh, what can he do? I guess he's lonely too. Or maybe he's preaching out loud all the truth that I already know. Life ain't never fair. It's like that everywhere. Where's my silver lining? I've been dying to see. But every day I'm finding that silver lining is inside of me. Oh, yeah, yeah.
like the black needs the blue. I needed you. You never step in the same river twice. It's always changing. Sometimes it's raging, sometimes it's paradise. I needed you. I needed you. Like the night needs the light to wake up to. I needed you. I needed you. Like the black needs the blue. I needed you.
I Needed You, the Secret Sisters, the album called Mind, Man, Medicine. One of the performers at Larry and Teresa's July Jam, which is happening Saturday, July 20th. So just about 10 days away. Tickets available at larryandteresa.com and Impact Artists, and you'll find them. Just Google July Jam at Arrowwood Farms. And we also heard Jackie Green, another one of the performers there, the album called Back to Birth. We heard the track called Silver Lining. And what we're going to do now, folks, is we're getting towards the end of the show. We end at 6, and towards the end of the show, we always do what's called musical happenings. And we list quite a few venues in the area in alphabetical order in the hopes that you go support live music and these wonderful venues that we're lucky enough to have right here in our area. Let's start with the Bardavon and UPAC, bardavon.org, July 29, the Moody Blues John Lodge. Barnstock in Woodstock and at barnstockny.com, July 25, Jay Collins. Bearsville Theater in Woodstock, also at bearsvilletheater.com, July 13th, Gimme Gimme Disco. July 16, Ben Howard. July 19, Billy Bragg. Bethel Woods Center, also at bethelwoods.org. July 11th is Luke Bryan. July 12th, Jason Mraz. Caramore in Katona. Tickets and info at caramore.org. July 11th, Owls. July 12th, Lost Bayou Ramblers. July 13th, Sutton Foster. Uncle Chief in Brewster, also at unclechief.com. Thursday, John H. Smith. Friday, Lance Bryant. Saturday, Uncle Chief's Empire Gumbo Band. And Sunday, Brazilian Jazz Brunch with Jilly Lopez. Cafe Lena in Saratoga. Info and tickets at cafelena.org. July 12th, Erin Harks with opener Sophia Courts. July 13, Mary Wendell 60th anniversary show. July 14, John Poussart Dart. And July 15 is an open mic at Cafe Lena. City Winery in Montgomery and at citywinery.com. July 11th, Sarah Power. Colony in Woodstock and colonywoodstock.com. The beer garden is open. Visit the website for info for the acts playing there. Tonight at the ballroom at Colony is the Nola Knots. Thursday, Back to Mac, Fleetwood Mac tribute. On Friday is 1994 Woodstock 2024. Saturday, Woody Stock, a Woody Guthrie tribute in the beer garden. Sunday is dinner and a movie, and every Monday is an open mic at Colony. The Falcon in Marlborough and live at thefalcon.com. Thursday, Dead Grass. Friday, Glenn David Andrews. Saturday, Guitar Heroes playing Hendrix, Beck, Page, and more. And Sunday, album release show with Eric Person Quartet. Fisher Center at Bard College and at fishercenter.bard.edu. Tickets for Spiegel Tent, Bard Summerscape, and Bard Music Festival now on sale. Now through July 14th, Ulysses. Jazz Forum in Terrytown and jazzforumarts.org this Friday and Saturday, 2 shows each night featuring Gary Smulyan and Frank Bazille Quintet. Maverick Concerts in Woodstock and at maverickconcerts.org. July 13, the Four Nations Ensemble. July 14, WindSync with Blair McMillan. The Stissing Center in Pine Plains, also at thestissingcenter.org. July 13, Grease Lightning. July 19 is a comedy night. Tarrytown Music Hall in Tarrytown and at tarrytownmusichall.org. July 12th, Amos Lee. July 14, the Bacon Brothers. Town Crier in Beacon and towncrier.com. Every Thursday is an open mic. Friday on the Salon stage, the Arbor Line Trio. Friday on the main stage, Total Mass Retain, a Yes tribute. Saturday on the Salon stage, Jehoihan. On the main stage, Lotus Spirit of Santana. Sunday brunch with Margie Zintz, and Sunday evening, Vito Petrosito. Opus 40, Saugerties, and at opus40.org. This Saturday, July 13th, Sundub and Upstate Reggae Passe. On July 14th, an afternoon concert with Blueberry. Rosendale Street Festival happening July 20 and 21st. 70 bands, 6 stages. Info at rosendalestreetfestival.org. Last but never least, Larry Campbell, Teresa Williams, July Jam at Arrowwood Farms in Accord on July 20, featuring Acoustic Hot Tuna, Jackie Green, The Secret Sisters, and many more. Tickets and info at larryandteresa.com. And that's what I got, folks. I know there's many more venues than that, but that's about what I can fit on 4 pages. I want to thank again today's guest, Mark McKenna, Artist Management from Bandshell Artists, and he manages Larry and Teresa, Jenna Nichols, David Bromberg, and has just had this amazing recording career and everything. I want to play another track of what he recorded. He was part of the recording. This is with Orleans. It's called Trenchtown Rock, and this is recorded live at Harvard Square in 1975. Let's take a listen now on 91.3.